All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. Got a very unique episode today. I'm going to be tattooing an ass on ass. This is my buddy John. John, introduce yourself, man.
Hi, I'm John. Ready to see how this thing turns out.
I've known John for a long time. This is one of my best friends, and I can't think of a better person, man, to do this with than you. And I really hope it hurts so your faces can make good content. All right, man, you ready?
All right, let's do it.
So John and I have done a lot of ghost hunts together. So what experiences have you had, like yourself? You mind going into detail about them?
Yeah, I don't mind at all. So I've seen a lot of things. I mean, everyone sees like out of the corner of your eye. Do you see something? Do you not? Stuff like that. Probably the first thing I remember seeing would be like I was at a friend's house for a sleepover when I was probably 10, around that, and there was definitely a woman that was there, maybe just like her head and shoulders kind of areas that all I could see at the time. So that's like the first thing that like I was like, oh, this is like really something, not just like something that catches your eye or out of the corner of your eye or something like that. So
We'll go into that. Like, where were you? What were you doing?
There was literally like a sleepover at some friend's house. They had like two sets of bunk beds, and we were just kind of hanging out. And I was on the top bunk, and I just remember like waking up and like she was over in the corner, like kind of like where the dresser would be, but like more in the corner of the room. And literally, she was just standing there, and for a couple seconds, like because you wake up and you're like, oh well, am I really seeing that? You know what I mean, or am I not? And then, of course, you tell everybody when you wake up the next morning, oh, I seen this and that, seen that. And, like,
They're like, yeah, sure you did, John.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the kids were like, oh, whatever. But, like the dude's mom, she was like, oh, yeah, that's so-and-so, we call her. And, I see her all the time. And she said she had never had, like, anyone else, someone that didn't live in the house hadn't seen her. And I was the first one to, like, say something about it. So probably not a whole lot of stuff until I was probably about 15 or so. So I was laying in my bed and my bedroom door was open and the hall light was kind of coming in. And I woke up and there was like what I'm assuming is a dude, because it was like a big, it's like shadowy, like outline kind of figure. And I like opened my eyes, looked up, and it was like he was looking down on me, and then kind of shrugged his shoulders a little bit, like, oh, okay, and then walked right out of my room. And as he was getting to where the light was shining in from the hallway, like, he disappeared. So that was like the only thing then. But when I was stationed in Hawaii, we seen a lot of stuff, heard a lot of noises, things like that. At one point, I came home from work and I was super, super sick.
In Hawaii?
Yeah, when I was in Hawaii. And I was like, I literally just came home from work, went upstairs, and went to bed. And like I had this crazy, crazy dream that these two little girls were playing around my bed. Like they were just like running around, playing around. And like they would like stick their heads up like and look over the bed, like onto the bed. And then I would look at them and they would like laugh and giggle and like duck down and run around and stuff like that. I remember I woke up like, I probably slept for 3 or 4 hours, just trying to sleep the sick off. And I remember waking up and going downstairs and telling my wife at the time, like, hey, I had this crazy dream, I was like, explained to her what was going on and stuff like that. And I don't know, a month or so later, we're out and we're coming back home and she's driving and she's pulling into the driveway and she just immediately stops. And she looks at me, she's like, what's wrong? And I was like, what do you mean? You know, I'm just trying to play it off or whatever. She goes, no, what is wrong with you? And I was like, hey, you know that dream I had about those two little girls? She's like, yeah. I said, one of them is standing by her trash can right now. So it was like I just got literally chills just telling that one right there. Like
I can actually see chills on your ass crack right now.
Yeah, like it's
You
crazy.
like lit
dude.
up.
Dude, that one was like it was
His
like
body
a full
changed,
dude.
you know what I mean?
It was like a full person. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like a real from head to toe. It wasn't, you know, anything like half of it or a, you know, shadowy figure or anything like that. That was like the first real like, oh, is like legit a person or was a person, or, you know, depending on what you think or how you feel about all that, you know.
Well, you know, like that's what I try to tell people too. Like even at the Salt House, they're like roommates. You know what I mean? They're like solid, normal-looking people. It's not like the movies and like you see like a ghostly figure. Sometimes it's shadow figures. Sometimes it's a little skip. But when I have seen a full-body human, or at least partially, it doesn't look like anything other than someone standing there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is scary enough already. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it was like crazy, and to realize like it wasn't the first time, and like it really wasn't a dream. You know, in my mind, I didn't have a dream. You know, like they were there, playing around and messing with me.
Could have been like in your REM sleep. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I thought. I go, I was just had a crazy dream, you know. But then to see one of them standing outside the house, it was just like wild.
Did you ever have any other experiences at that house with those girls, or was that it?
Not the girls, but I'm trying to think which one I want to start off with, because that house was crazy, dude. That house was wild.
You were in the military at the time,
Yeah,
right?
I was stationed in the Navy. I was over I was on Oahu, which is where Port Harbor's at. We were there probably, I don't know, 2.5 years or so out of the time.
Did your wife at the time ever see anything?
Oh, yeah, for sure. What do they call them, a duplex, where one family lives on one side and the other family lives on the other? So we just thought the family next to us had kids, like young kids, you know, and their kid was probably, I don't know, 4 or so, something like that. But it'd be 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you would hear this kid like running up and down the steps, kind of stuff, you know, like banging and stuff. And we're just like, that's weird for them to hit a little spot there. Hold on.
And so it begins.
So we just thought that, you know, the kid was just up all night or whatever. Let me back up a little bit.
Please don't. I'm right here.
Hold on.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm just trying to talk, and then, dude, this reminds me of like the Hot Ones,
That's exactly why I wanted to do this.
where I'm sitting here trying to talk, but then like I hit a spot and I lose like what I'm talking about.
This was the original idea for the show, way back in the day, probably 5 years ago.
So like I said, we would always hear, you know, it kind of sounded like someone was like just knocking and the kid was throwing stuff, you know, just noises all the time.
Was it around the same time each night?
Yeah, it would be late at night too, like 2, 3 in the morning, you know, just weird stuff. Like we'd wake up and hear this shit, like what the f they got this kid doing, like, you know. But one day, so I was taking night classes, so I wouldn't get home until like, you know, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And my ex, which we were married at the time, but right now she's my ex, she was just sitting in my car, just randomly, for no reason. She said that it got so loud that she was like, I have to leave the house. She goes, I cannot stay in there. Just like the banging and stuff was just so loud. So she just drove to where I was taking classes and just waited for me to get out. And then I remember one time, like, me and her were arguing. Who knows what about dumb shit as usual, you know. In the null of one of our arguments where neither one of us was really saying anything, all we just hear from upstairs is like, like this motherfucker was laughing at us because we were arguing, and it liked the fact that we were arguing. Needless to say, the argument stopped, and I don't even think we argued for like 6 months after that on some shit like that. You know what I mean? So, which is so crazy.
Do you feel like it was a spirit? Do you feel like it was a ghost? Do you feel like it was a demonic presence?
Dude, I feel like, oh man, I just got chills again. He said that, because this is going to lead into the next thing about this house. My oldest son was born in Hawaii, and we lived there until he was just shy of a year old. he would be like a normal kid, he would be a little baby hanging out, and then all of a sudden his eyes would like shoot to different parts of the room and up to the ceiling and just random places and just start screaming, bro. Like ungodly, like crazy ass, like, like at that time you don't think about a 6-7 month old baby being scared, but like the look on his face and like it sounded like a scared cry, and he would do it randomly out of nowhere, and his eyes would always dart like it was like he was following something. His mom called her mom, who has seen some stuff and she's in tune to a lot of stuff like that as well. So she's like, you need to bless the house. She goes, there's you have to bless it. She's like, Okay. So I don't know what they talked about or what kind of whatever they did, but they did the prayer or whatever to like basically bless the water. And she went to each room in the house, to each corner of the house, was saying I'm assuming a prayer or whatever to get whatever this thing was out. So she starts upstairs. So I sit down in the living room holding Alden because I'm like, this is your thing. I got him. Let's just do, whatever. So she goes through every room upstairs, and as she's finishing the very last part of upstairs, this shadowy figure like comes from upstairs. It follows the ceiling, and just before it gets to where me and Alden are sitting, it dips down right above our head and like went past us into like the dining room, because the dining room was like right behind the living room. So that freaked.
Did Alden have a reaction with it?
Dude, he was crying the whole time, bro. Like the whole time that she was doing that shit, like he was crying. And I'm just holding him like, just trying to comfort him or whatever. As it was going.
Ah, you like that, don't you,
And literally like you could feel leaving as it was going out the door. And then after that, dude, we never had anything like bad like that. Like no bad feelings, you know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I'm sure you agree, or I'm probably
Nope.
like if you see shit, it's like whatever. Okay, yeah, I see it, that's crazy, whatever. But some shit like you see and you're like, man, this, I don't want no part of this shit. I mean, for me anyway, you get different emotions really whenever you see shit.
Your best instrument is yourself.
Yeah.
Let's get into this. Do you believe in demons then? Or what do you think dead people are?
Dude, I honestly think it could be, there's definitely bad shit out there, bro. There's definitely bad, I mean, if you say demons, I guess you could call them demons.
I'm taking a quote and rewriting it, but
Right.
is a blanket that we throw on the unknown to try to describe the undescribable of the unknown. So then we just address the blanket.
Right.
So by a blanket statement like demon or ghost or whatever, we're definitely having this vibe where, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
feel like we're pigeonholing it to our own. It's like we have to dumb it down for us, but then it's too dumbed down even for us to describe the emotions you were just talking about you can feel on your own.
100%.
So if I asked you to describe the blanket shape, how would you do that?
So my definition would be a demon would be that's my problem. I mean, is it a physical thing? Is it tangible? Like, is the dude that just walked by, is he a demon and I just can't fucking see it?
You just addressed the moment where you guys were arguing. And,
Right.
And then the entity that you described as a dark, shadowing heaviness left the home when you guys exercised it, basically, right?
Yeah, but was that just like a evil spirit or just like an energy that's evil? Is there something, just like you could say, okay, that's a dog. You're like, okay, that's a demon. Like that's physical, a creature.
that's why I'm asking you is like, do you feel like a demon would be someone that was alive once but has been corrupted by their own bad energy? Or do you think it's an energy that was already existing before us? I'm going to ask you next, like, what's the meaning of life? Don't worry. All easy questions today.
Yeah, right. I would probably say for the most part, demons were here before. I don't necessarily think that like if I do enough bad shit that I'm gonna be a demon. Yeah, because it could be something like the stuff that I described to you about, the thing laughing when we were arguing, or the shadow thing. I definitely believe that those things can influence people.
I don't like working in absolutes.
Yeah, I'm the
Obviously.
same way. Yeah.
Just always curious on the perspective, especially when we're ghost hunting.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you feel like when we go to Waverly Hills? What do you feel like we're trying to talk to, I guess? Do you think we're trying to talk to a spirit that's been here before pulling strings? Do you think we're talking to people who lived once that are now somehow cosmically trapped? Do you think we're just trying to catch residual energy? Do you think we're trying, like, that's, I guess, more of an articulated way of what I'm trying to break down and get from you.
So places like Waverly and Randolph and those places, I think for the most part, it's things that are trapped and can't move on. They don't have, for whatever reason, whatever the rules are, no clue. But
do you think it could be almost like a legacy haunting? I don't really hear much about that. And I'm sure there's a technical term I could ask my dad about.
Right.
But like, do you think that there's like a legacy haunting, like where a piece of them is around, like almost like a Harry Potter Horcrux of hauntings?
So, for instance, something I didn't even think about until you said residual energy. My mom's house. If you spend more than 3 hours at that house, you'll see a lady walk up her front steps.
Yeah, like a stone table.
Right, and yeah, and you'll see it, all the time. But you go to the front door thinking someone's, coming up the porch, and it's not there. So that's just like a glimpse that, for whatever reason, that residual energy is there of her, but that's all you ever see of her. Like, once she gets to the top of the steps, she's gone.
Now, has everybody seen this?
Everybody that I know that has seen other things before. Because there's just some people that, no matter what, they don't believe or they don't care to even acknowledge or whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, you can believe something and you know something, but you
Right.
can't believe and know.
Right.
And most people need to see to believe. But I feel like people who want it the most never get it. It's like, well, then that removes that Christianity vibe of like, well, if I give it to you, you won't have a reason to have faith. I feel like there's an intelligence there, even when it comes to like, you see the stone lady all the time, right? Or the stairs lady.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But if you ever tried to capture her, well, if you did, it might be kind of hard.
Right.
Well, then a non-believer would be like, well, yeah, it's because she doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's why
You're
you can't catch
obviously-
her.
Yeah, you're mentally
Right.
ill, dude. You're getting your ass tattooed.
Right. Yeah,
Clearly, you're not sane.
Right. I mean, you just seen it because you want to see it type shit.
Yes, yeah. Which I believe in that. I believe in the paranoia, and I believe in the excitement of having an experience where you share it, and you get that group paranoia when we're on ghost hunting, and everyone hears the same sound, and then you come to the conclusion, all of a sudden things just go and crick, and you're like, oh, and it could be a mouse on the wall, you know what I mean?
Right.
But everyone's so hyped, and everyone has the same experience, and we're instantly all validating each other.
Right.
And it's just kind of like, not it, dude. It's an old house. Wind blows, the floors
Right.
creak, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I think that's what's kind of cool about the stuff that we do. There's usually one person that is like, man, you guys are crazy. I don't believe any of this shit. But they still go with us.
The funny thing about that is a lot of times with us when we do that, and speaking from our own experiences, how many of those people have absolutely had the more dramatic experience? Something that when they leave, they're like, all right, I believe now, I
Right.
get it. Like, can we go to another place now?
Right.
You know?
Like Randolph when whatever it was messing with your zipper on your backpack.
Yeah.
Right next to the most skeptical person that we have had with us, and they're like, oh, like that's like legit moving. Like your zipper is legit moving right now.
Yep.
You know, stuff like that.
It's fun. It's a fun thing, and I think that that's dangerous for a lot of people who are not strong with their values and their belief systems. I'm not talking about religion necessarily. I'm talking about just as a human and knowing who they are. And if you're easily malleable, you know what I mean? Like, clay will be molded. More people sculpt clay than they carve marble, you know what I mean? So it's like you're going to go for the easier target. Not to be completely dark and completely change
No,
subjects,
right.
but it even goes down to like predators, right? They go for the kid that has the soft parents, not the fierce dad that like we
Oh,
are, right?
100%.
Let's take a little break real quick.
So I was mentioning earlier about how the kid next door to us was always making noise, and we were just like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
Well, shortly after Alden was born, his grandmother came to visit us, and she said that she woke up at like 5:30 in the morning to a man in uniform, his wife, and a little boy, and the little boy was like bouncing a ball. So we just kind of thought that him bouncing that ball around was all the loud knocking and like noises and like kid playing that we heard, but it wasn't actually our neighbor's kid at like 3 in the morning.
Oh, that's crazy.
Like the man was in some type of military uniform, and we were on the base, so it could have been something from like actual Pearl Harbor, the attack and stuff like that we were getting remnants of or whatever.
This story is 17,000 times better than the movie Pearl Harbor. You know what I'm saying? Did you guys ever try to debunk and like ask?
Oh, like the neighbors and stuff? Yeah, they I mean, we would talk to them about it, like, hey, were you guys blah, 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 and they'd be like, oh, no, they would never hear anything. They're like, oh, no, we, has normal, like, kid bedtime, you know what I mean?
You confirmed it wasn't their kid up at nighttime.
Yeah, unless they were just lying and didn't want to admit that they had let their kids stay up until 3 in the morning. And
Well, every skeptic listening to it is going to say that that's what it was.
right, of course.
They were just bad parents.
Right.
So what's going on more recently with you?
The house that we live in, the property that the house is on, my wife and her family has lived there since the late 90s. When my wife was younger, she would always see a man in the house. Like she said, she would be like in the laundry room or whatever and turn around and he'd be standing like right there. She is not about that. She doesn't want anything to do with it. She's like, forget that. So she doesn't really talk about it that much, but that's the only thing that she would tell me about the previous house that they lived in. Well, shortly before me and my wife met, that house that they lived in burned down. So they ended up rebuilding, bigger house, better house, things like that. Fast forward a few years, my wife's mom passed away, and now me, my wife, our kids, and then my father-in-law, we all live in the house that her mom lived in when she passed away. She didn't pass away at the house, but it was her house. We moved in, we probably lived there, I don't know, maybe a month or so. My daughter has her own room there, which is, her grandmother that passed. So I'm in the restroom, and my daughter comes running in, crying, freaking out. And I was like, baby, what's wrong? Like, what? I'm thinking, she hurt herself, because she was probably 5 or so. And she's like, I just heard someone say, hey, baby. She's like, it sounded like mom, but it wasn't mom's voice. Well, my wife and her mom sound crazy similar. Like if you were in there, like if it was on the phone or something, like they would mess with me sometimes and just try to be the other one to see if I could even tell which was which, you know what I mean?
That's funny.
We've been there for coming up on 3 years now, and from time to time she will come in and say, I heard a voice again, or I heard this voice, and stuff like that. And then a hey baby is something that my mother-in-law would always say to my daughter. Like, we'd go in to the house or whatever, and she'd be like, hey baby, just that was like her go-to phrase when she was greeting my daughter. We got settled into the house and all that kind of stuff. And then we would randomly just hear noises. Like, I'd have like, our buddy Dane, he would be over and we'd be sitting in the living room, having a drink, hanging out, talking. And all of a sudden you would hear like knocking in the hallway, or, see like movement at the top of the staircase, which, at first you're like, okay, I'm looking at the top of the staircase, and you just see something out of the corner of your eye and you're like, I don't know if that's it or whatever. Well, then you seems like, I don't know, 5 or 6 people that's come to the house has seen like something at the top of my stairs. Like I haven't.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, you are one of them. Yeah, I think you've seen it more clearly than any of us. You know,
Dude, it was straight up a solid figure.
for us, like for me in particular, like it would never be something fully solid. It would just be like almost a glimpse or like a long glimpse or something like that. Honestly, before you seen something, like we would chalk it up that it would just be my mother-in-law hanging out, because that's where my father-in-law's apartment is upstairs. Like he's got his own little deal up there. So I would just assume that it was her there still.
Well, the thing is too, for those that are listening, is like, I didn't know. But when I was like, whoa, you and Dane were like, yes.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
finally
100%.
Because I mean, you never told me.
No, because I don't want to do, especially like, I don't tell people like that because, for one, I want to be able to see if they see it. You know what I'm saying? Because that, to me, that helps debunk if it's just, you know, me being a weirdo, me seeing a shadow or something, you know, out of the corner of my eye, and it being like a car going down the street or, you know, something like that. So what really got me was like thinking that it was really, really her mom is, so my daughter does Taekwondo, and she had just got like a belt promotion in Taekwondo. And she was like extremely happy, you know, everyone in the house was in a great mood. Like, so we came home, and my wife and my daughter went upstairs to tell, you know, my wife's dad about, you know, how well she did at her belt promotion and all that kind of stuff. So I went to the restroom. Well, as I was saying before, that my wife and I's bedroom is where used to be my mother-in-law and father-in-law's bedroom. Well, my mother-in-law had a walk-in closet that was like her favorite thing ever. Like, she loved it. So I go to the restroom, I come out, and as I have to get out of the restroom into the bedroom, I had to walk by the walk-in closet. And I get to the walk-in closet, and dude, I just stop, like freeze. Standing in that closet was my mother-in-law.
Oh yeah, goosebumps.
Like full-fledged, like, dude, I've seen and she was full-formed, so clear, long enough for me to look at her, think about, am I really seeing what I'm seeing, and then be gone. And I was like, dude, it freaked me out so bad. I literally turned around, went back into the bathroom, and just sat on the toilet and texted our buddy Dane. I was like, dude, I just seen her in the freaking closet, and I didn't know what to do because I didn't want to like tell my wife about it because I didn't want her to feel some type of way or, you know, whatever. But that's part of the stuff that like made me was thinking like, you know, it was just her up there, and I never even thought about it not being her up there until you seen what you seen at the top of the steps. So
Oops. Don't
don't be saying fucking oops while you're tattooing my ass, motherfucker. What are you doing?
No, Pete said oops.
Oh,
Because he. Yeah.
Jesus.
Wait, you think Pete and I sound the same? I'm going to go ahead and debunk the fact that he thinks his wife and her mom sounded the same, right?
No.
I'm sorry, what?
All I heard was oops, dude.
They'll get it.
No, but for you, I do have a question for you though, because with, like I said, my wife don't want to hear anything about it, so we didn't talk about it that night when you seen it above my steps. But
she did immediately was like, nope.
Yeah, 100%. As soon as you said something, she was like, "Nuh-uh, we're not talking about that shit tonight." Like, so did you see any, like, could you describe anything, or just a figure, or what feeling did you get from it? Because I feel like you've gotten a stronger feeling from it than anyone else.
All right, do you want my honest?
Fuck
Like,
yeah.
am I going to get in trouble?
I mean, no more than I'm going to get in trouble for asking you.
Okay, all right, so you guys were making it uncomfortable at the moment. It was, I would say, bickering. You guys were kind of bickering with each other back and forth. You could definitely tell there was like frustration in the room. And Dane and I were like, well, this is uncomfortable. You know, like one of those moments, you know?
Right.
And that's when I felt it. And then I looked up, and it felt like it was, I'm going to, lack of better words, heavy. It was not a good fucking feeling. And honestly, I wanted to leave.
Yeah.
And if you remember that, I was like, I don't like that.
Yeah, I know you said you didn't like that. That's why I wanted to know, like, what.
And it was almost like, okay, weirdly enough, and this kind of makes me wonder if you have something following you.
Oh,
you
from
said
the
you guys were
Hawaii
bickering
story?
back- I thought about that earlier when you said that. It's kind of the vibe. It was like, like it was up there, like kind of reveling in your bickering,
We were,
feeding it.
yeah, we were feeding the bull. It was, okay, that
Yes.
makes sense. Dude, I seen it probably 2 or 3 times before I left Friday to come down here. But I never got anything bad from it.
I will tell you too, another experience I had in your house, and I don't know if we've ever talked about this or not. I think it was at your daughter's birthday party, and I went to the restroom in your guys' bathroom, your
Yeah.
bedroom bathroom.
Yeah.
That wasn't the same kind of feeling by
No.
any means, but I definitely knew I wasn't alone.
Right.
Someone was absolutely in there.
Was it in the restroom, the bathroom itself?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Which is where I seen my mother-in-law, which that closet, you passed that closet going
Yes.
to the bathroom. I think.
I got out of there.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I got a very, what are you doing in my bathroom? feeling.
Right? Because it was like a transition, because like literally like we're now sleeping in her bedroom, you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, just literally like, my daughter hearing some things in her room, like the stairs thing all the time, and then like noises in the hallway, which is directly below the staircase. Like you can be at the top of the staircase and look down onto the hallway. But that's pretty much like only things I got going on like personally right now. Like there's nothing, I haven't felt anything crazy anywhere else or
That's enough, man. That's enough. Yeah. Well, and dude, I think we got it. You want to reveal this thing?
let's do it.
My best friend John, who tattooed his ass on ass. Thank you for being the first. I'm surprised it's taken years to get you on the podcast.
Right.
But I'm honored it happened this way. Hope
Let's
you guys
go.
like the content, because we're going to keep making it whether you do or you don't. Good night.
Don't disturb me while I'm on Adam Stoner's podcast. Yeah.